Good evening, everybody. Tokyo Drew here. I know it's been a little while since I posted videos. Things have just been crazy. So I thought I'd do something different with this video. I know a lot of gamers and retro gamers do tier lists. I'm going to do a physical tier list with the actual games. I got my nice custom wooden letters here. And my system of choice, my retro system that I really like is the Turbografx-16 slash PC Engine. And I thought it would be good too because these games are nice and small. I can get them into these nice little spots here. So we'll just jump right into it. I'm going to rate, it's going to be split into different parts. I'm going to rate 10 games a night. I have about 75 games. So I figure I'd make different parts to it and just rate 10 random games I pull out of my drawer. And I got a stack here, and then we'll just jump right in. So the first game we got is Impossible. Now, I love the TurboGrafx and PC Engine, but I'm not a fanboy. 2D action games are not the system's strong point. Shooters are. Like, you're not going to play a Contra Hardcore or Rocket Knight Adventures. So, if Impossible was on any other system, you put it as a D level game, but because it's a TurboGrafx, I played it, I beat it. It's just very clunky. It's beatable, it's playable, it's just very clunky. So I'll put this in the C tier again, which is average. Again, if this is any other system, if this was Nintendo or Super Nintendo, it would be like a D or an E because the platformers on those systems are so much better. Next game we got is Parasol Stars. Now I've played a couple of versions of this game, and this is the best version of the game. It is a great arcade conversion. It's very bright, colorful. I did play through it and I did beat it, and it plays very well. The gameplay is very good. It's very colorful, and has really good graphics. And I would definitely, although it's not my style of game, but like I said, I did enjoy playing it. But as far as a 2D action game for the system, I would definitely put it in the definitely A or B. It's tough. I'm leaning more towards B. Again, great game for the system, and again, the system doesn't have a lot of good 2D action games, so I'll put it in a B. Maybe I'll change my mind later on, but Psychosis. Now, we all know TurboGrafx is known for shooters. That's its bread and butter right there. And Psychosis, I do like it a lot. I beat it a bunch of times. It is a little on the short side, but it is one of those games too where you have to beat it twice to get the true ending. But I do really like the visuals, and it has its own like unique style. I'd definitely put it as a. But as a shooter though, the system has really good shooters, really good shooters. On the flip side, what I said about Impossible, Psychosis, I'd feel if it was on Super Nintendo, it would probably be like an A tier shooter. But TurboGrafx, it's definitely a B tier. Like, I do enjoy it a lot. It's a fun game. Again, a little on the short side, and it just doesn't have that deep gameplay compared to other shooters. And again, this system is known for shooters. Tailspin, one of the few licensed games on the system. Again, it's in that category of 2D action for the TurboGrafx. Again, an area the system does not do well. Again, I played through this game. I beat it. The game has a great presentation overall, but it's very, very clunky and has really bad hit detection. Pretty much, you have to just cheese every boss and enemy you fight. Unfortunately, there's no strategy to it, but it does have bonus levels and it has a great presentation. But again, if this was a Genesis, a Super Nintendo game, it would be like a D or an F. But because it's a TurboGrafx game, it's definitely better than Impossible. But I'm gonna sit it right in the B tier. Again, because as far as action, 2D action games go to TurboGrafx, that would be a B tier game. For the most Blazing Lasers, yeah, another phenomenal game for the system. It's a shooter, and we all know this is what the TurboGrafx does best. It took me a long time to actually play and beat this game. It is a very, very good game, but it is a very difficult game too. I think it's the hardest game in that Soldiers, even though it's not technically a soldier game. I know people complain about it. I consider it a soldier game. I do really like it a lot. I'm not gonna put it in the S tier. It's definitely A tier. I know a lot of people will say S tier, But for me, I just feel like the difficulty spike towards the end of the game is very extreme. I just don't think it's very balanced. But it is definitely a phenomenal game. I can't really knock it too much for that. Double Dungeons. One, one of the few action RPGs for the, well, not action RPG. It's a regular turn-based RPG. The game is just very bland. Like the game opens. It's a bunch of randomly generated dungeons. You get into random battles. You have to level your characters up to grind through different floors of dungeons. It just does. It's just very boring. It's got a very bland presentation. I actually didn't play too much of it. I mean, a lot of my games I make a point to play and beat. This one I just can't. I can't bring myself to play through it and beat it. So it gets right into the C category. Again, it's just, especially for an RPG, like if this was on the Super Nintendo, it'd be like an F game because that game has such phenomenal RPGs. So adjusted for a bell curve for Turbo, it's a C tier game. Now here, Super Volleyball. I did play it for a little bit. Like I said, I play all my games, especially for the Turbografx. It's a little on the plain side as far as graphics go, but it controls very well. Like there's another volleyball game for the system that looks better and controls worse. So, but it has a very simple presentation. But the game, it's a decent sport game and it plays well. But it is a little on the plain side. As far as sports games go, there's not too many for the Turbo. Again, you don't have a big selection of them. So I think I'll slide it into the C tier. I mean, it's playable, but it's just very, very bland. Let's see, the next game we got here. Clax. Now, this was a game that got ports on a ton of systems. And so this is the Turbografx port made by Tenjin. I played it, and again, it's Clax. It's a fun puzzle game. And there's not too many games like it on the Turbo because there's no Tetris for Turbografx. This is probably the closest you're going to get to it. It's a good game. The only problem is there's no music. I don't know why there's no music. If it had music, honestly, it'd be so much better. But I mean, the game controls well. It plays well. It's got a good presentation, just no music. And I haven't really played most of the other versions of the game. I don't know if those versions have music, but this one doesn't. So it's just gonna be one of those things where I just, again, there's not too many puzzle games for the system, so it's tough. Like I said, it plays really good, so I think I'm just gonna put it in the B tier. I know I've been flip-flopping back and forth with that, but I think, again, there's not too many puzzle games for the system, so it gets some points for that alone. That's why, a lot of these categories you have to like make a bell curve for, for the games themselves. R-Type. Everyone knows R-Type. It's gotten multiple ports to every system. This is probably one of the better ports of the game. There is a CD version I haven't played for the PC Engine CD. So I do really enjoy this game, but it is very, very hard. And the game relies heavily on memorization more than skill. Like you'll just die from enemies spawning above you, below you. You just have to know they're coming. So the game really relies on you to really getting to know the game in and out. Which is not why it's one of my favorites, but it is R-Type, and it is a really, really good port of the game. It's pretty close to Arcade Perfect. I'll slide that in the A tier. Because, again, me not being good at the game, I can't fault it that much. Because, again, if I'm not that great at the game, I can't, ding it too much. But I feel, I feel like a game has to have a balance, and that doesn't have too much balance. So it's going to go in the A tier. And last but not least, I didn't do this on purpose. It just happens to be Magical Chase. Now, obviously, this is not an original version of the game. I'm not mortgaging my goddamn house to get an original version of this game. It's a reproduction. It's a very good reproduction. And again, it's a very sought after game. I played through it, I beat it, and needless to say, before I even put it in there, it's definitely an S tier game. One thing I will say as a side note about reproductions for the Turbografx, just real quick, is that not too many people make these. I only know of 2 producers, so it's not like you can go on AliExpress and get these. So the quality control on these reproductions is very high. They won't damage your systems, and they're made very well. So I'm not unhappy with it. It's great. It plays great. It looks great. It's a little thicker than original copy, but hey, again, I'm not gonna sell my car to get an original Magical Chase. And again, that's definitely an S tier game. The one thing I will say about it is it's just a little on the short side. There is 3 difficulty levels, but it is a little on the short side. It's only about 5 or 6 levels. But again, I beat it on normal. You can crank it up to hard to get some replay value out of it. But again, S tier game. That's why it's sought after for a reason. It's like the holy grail of the Turbografx library. And that's all I got. So that's all the games laid out there. Like I said, I'll do 10 more games. We'll break it up into different parts. And like and subscribe. And I hope you guys enjoyed the video.